I'm in Kabukicho right now. You guys were asking for a video on Japanese language school. You guys want to know what it's all about? I got you right here. We're gonna break everything down right here. I got some notes with me today. First thing you are going to need to know is you're gonna need to have a lot of money, even more than the tuition.
Young James.
Yo, what's up, bro?
I watch you on YouTube, man. Hey, what's up?
Who's Young James? Sounds like a loser, man. I don't know who that is.
Yeah. So
What's outside, man?
Yeah.
Yo, what's your name?
Dominic.
Dominic. Dude,
Yeah.
nice to meet you, man.
I go to language school too.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm doing a video on language school right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because everyone was asking for it. Do you have anything to say, one thing of advice for people going to language school?
Start with the basics. Like you need to know, like hiragana, katakana. Like you can't just come here and know nothing. You need to like know the basics.
Otherwise, when you first start, you're going to be in a rush for the first semester. You're going to feel behind.
You're not going to know anything.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
Cool. Dominic, thank you so much. I'm going to keep filming this video. You have a wonderful night. It was great to meet you.
Yeah, you too. I comment on your posts sometimes.
Oh,
your
dude.
YouTube videos. So
Thank you so much.
replied to me a few times. But,
Cool, man. I appreciate it.
So, yeah.
Thanks, Dominic. Hopefully I see you around again. We can hang out.
I live in Shinjuku, so.
All right.
Yeah,
Fuck
so.
yeah, man. Cool. Take care, man. You have a good night. Bye-bye. Dominic. Shout out to Dominic. Konbanwa. Alright, so as Dominic said, first thing you are going to want to do is, at least before you come here, do a little bit of studying, man. Study some katakana, hiragana, a little bit of kanji, maybe the N5 level kanji, just so you're not in a complete rush for the first semester when you get here, because they will be using katakana, hiragana, and speaking very, very basic Japanese on the very first day. As far as I know, they don't speak any Japanese in most language, or any English in most language schools here. So you're going to want to study the absolute basics. Study katakana, study hiragana, and study the N5 kanji. You can search N5 JLPT, Japanese Language Proficiency Test kanji, online, and you can get a list of like 100 kanji or something like that. You don't have to know all of them, but knowing a little bit, just kind of how they work, will help you out in the long run. And I'm going to do another video on the 3 alphabets, the kanji, the hiragana, and the katakana, for you if you are interested in learning Japanese. So once you have your basic studying out of the way, assuming you're going to do that after you find a language school, but you are going to need to have money. Even if your language school is super cheap, the tuition costs nothing, you will need to prove to the Japanese government that you are financially viable, that you can take care of yourself, that you have money in your bank account or from your provider, from your supporter, your parents. Good evening, hello. And when I applied, that was 2 years ago or something like that, it was like 14,000 USD for 1 year. So if you're coming for 6 months even, you need 7,000 USD. You're going to need to prove that you have that much money, and then you can get the visa. As far as other requirements for getting the visa, I don't believe you need to be a college graduate. Konbanwa. 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 Even though some schools will say we prioritize college graduates on their website, as far as I know, you do not actually need to be a college graduate, but you do need a high school degree or the equivalent, whatever that is in your country, or if you have a, what's it called, a GED or something like that, you will need to prove that you have that and your other documents. Just get all your documentation together, your birth certificate, your high school diploma, etc., etc., etc. If you are going to apply to these language schools through a service online such as Gogo Nihon, which I used, Gogo Nihon, Gogonihon. Nihon means Japan in Japanese. You can search them online, find Gogo Nihon, the website, and then what you are going to do, you're going to go onto that website and you're going to say, hey, help me apply and find a language school in Japan. They'll give you a bunch of options as to how serious you want your language school to be, what area you want your language school to be in, what price range you are looking at, what are your goals for going to language school. So keep in mind, there are some language schools that are geared toward people who want to live in Japan forever, who want to go into college immediately after language school. They want to go to college in Japan at a Japanese-speaking college, and they're going to be very high level. There are other language schools that are specifically geared toward passing the JLPT, the Japanese Language Proficiency Test, in Nihongo no Ryoku Shiken. Otherwise, there are also language schools that are a little bit more relaxed. They might not have homework at all. They might not have too much homework. My school only had homework like once a week. In those schools, they might focus more on daily conversation, nichijou kaiwa, or basic social skills, Japan culture, and basic speaking, things like that. So you're going to need to figure out what your end goals are, how serious you want to take the language, and what price range you're looking at. The tuition varies greatly between schools. The school that I went to was about $5,500 a year. I don't think that's too much. I think that's pretty reasonable, but just to give you a basic idea, $5,500 a year, but keep in mind, Japan life is expensive otherwise. Well, maybe if you're not coming from the US. But if you're getting a part-time job or something here, you're not going to be getting paid so much in yen. Keep that in mind. So I came here at the beginning of my 2 years in language school, because you can only stay 2 years, right? The longest visa you can get for Japanese language school is up to 2 years. After 2 years, you have to go home. When I came here at the beginning of my 2 years, I had $36,000 USD in my account. And I worked like 20 hours a week, basically every single week I was here. I mean, I took vacations here and there, and I didn't start working for like 4 weeks after I came to Japan initially. But even after I did all of that, and I worked so hard, I saved up so much money, at the end of this 2 year span, I was down to like $9,000. So I spent like, I don't know, like $25,000 or so. Konbanwa. And given I was also paying off my car, I had a car in the US and I was still kind of paying the car payment that I eventually sold. But anyways, you get the idea. You're gonna go through a lot of money out here. So you're probably gonna need to find a job, also a part-time job. You can work up to 28 hours on a student visa here. You can't work more than that because that's considered part-time, and then that would be a different visa, right? But you can work up to 28 hours. But anyways, getting back to the subject of school, we went over price, we went over difficulty. You're gonna need to figure out what your goals are. You can communicate that to this website, this agency called Gogo Nihon. They will find you a list of schools, and then there's gonna be different locations. You can study in Tokyo, you can study, I'm sure, in Kansai, you can study in Kyoto, you can study in Yokohama. I'm studying in Tokyo because Tokyo is the center. Tokyo is where most things go, most things happen, is where the easiest transportation is. All of my friends who I already knew in Japan live in Tokyo. So Tokyo is very convenient, but also I will say the way of life in Tokyo is very busy. The people are colder. They say in Osaka and Kyoto the people are much friendlier. It's easier for foreigners to adjust there. And even though there are so many foreigners in Tokyo, it feels like there are more foreigners in Osaka and maybe even Kyoto. Statistically, I'm not sure if that's true, but at least that's what the vibe feels like. It feels a little more, I don't know, it feels a little easier to adjust to whenever I go there. But I'm gonna keep that in mind. Now, getting into the classes, the schools themselves. The classes are usually 4 hours a day. There's gonna be 4 hours a day, either the AM class or the PM class. I'm sure it varies between schools, but from what I have heard from the school that I went to and other people in other schools, 4 hours a day, you're gonna have the AM classes, which are like 9 to 1, which I went to, or you're gonna go to the PM classes, which are like 2 to 6, or something like that. And they will not change throughout your 2 years here because they know that people usually understand that you're gonna get a job or whatever, and then you can't be changing your schedule all the time. So usually they will keep that in mind and they will help you out with that. You're gonna go to class, and usually there's gonna be a couple different subjects, as long as with a couple different teachers who maybe speak a little bit different styles of Japanese, or they're from different areas of Japan. First hour or two was studying like a new phrase, like a new hyogen. And then we would have like a little break, we'd have like a lunch break, and then we'd come back, and then for the next hour we'd do like kaiwa practice, conversation practice, and we get up in groups and we do like a role play or something like that for like an hour. Take another little break, and then for the last hour or whatever, a different teacher would come in and they would teach us kanji. And then for like the last hour or something, we're talking about the kanji meanings, and we're writing them over and over again in our books and shit like that, and taking turns writing them on the board. To the school where I was going, it was mainly focused on learning daily conversation, learning like your basic skill set for everyday life here, not super geared toward passing the Japanese language, not super geared toward getting a job in Japan or going to college in Japan, although some people from my school did that, including myself. It was a little bit more relaxed, so there was not homework every day. There wasn't like required kanji studying every day. Although we did have tests on that stuff, the tests were just to A, see where you were and where you needed help on, and B, at the end of the semester, if you didn't pass the final test, you couldn't move up to the next level. It didn't mean you're going to get deported or anything, but you couldn't move up to the next level until you passed the final test. You will not be able to get a better visa, or you might even get deported if you're not attending classes. As far as I know, it's 80% of the classes you need to attend. If you attend 80% of the classes, even if you do shitty in the classes, as far as I understand, you won't get like deported or anything like that. But you do need to at least somewhat attend the classes because your school will be reporting your attendance to the Japanese government to make sure you're not here doing other shit on your student language visa. You know, the government here is serious about the studies and who comes into the country, who they give visas to. So they're not really trying to just give visas to anyone who's just gonna come here and fuck off and do something else if they're not actually studying, right? But the student demographics are usually pretty diverse. At the language school where I was, there were plenty of Europeans. Like I said, it was a little more casual, less serious studying. So that also unfortunately meant that for the first year or so, there are going to be a fair amount of people, if you go to a language school that isn't as serious, there are going to be a fair amount of people who aren't serious about learning the language, and they just used it as an excuse to kind of live in Japan for a year or 6 months or whatever, and they come to class and they fuck around, or they don't come to class and they kind of cause problems and shit. We had a couple instances like that. I think I told the story of this Italian guy complaining about him not getting his dick sucked or something like that, and he was kind of like that. He was just here to go on vacation. But at least for like after the first year, most of those people get weeded out, you know what I'm saying? But depending on the level of intensity at your school, the demographic might be different, the racial demographic. For example, like at the more serious schools, there are a lot of Asian people who live near Japan and then moved here, and they want to continue living in Japan, and their parents are funding them to live in Japan, and then maybe they have the goal of working in Japan or going to college and living a long-term life here, or then bringing their family here, or sending money after they get a job in Japan, sending money back to their parents at home. A lot of the Americans and the Europeans were kind of just here to have fun and like kind of, you know, try a new life like me and shit like that. And some of them aren't serious at all, which kind of annoyed me. But yeah, depending on the intensity of your school, there could be more Asians or there could be more Europeans or whatever. At my school, it was mostly Europeans, some Americans, and some Asians. But if you're in a class with a bunch of Chinese people, it's gonna be fucking, you're gonna be struggling to keep your head above water because they know kanji so well, since they already use kanji in Chinese. And then you're gonna look like a dumbass when you don't know the kanji that everybody else knows. So keep that in mind as well if you're a foreigner who's not from China or Taiwan or something like that. As far as the staff goes, the staff, the teachers, everybody that worked in the office, the administration was so much cooler, 100 times cooler in my experience than all the staff in American schools. All the people in America, like, they're fucking lazy, they have egos, they treat you like you're a dumbass, often unprofessional. Now, am I exaggerating? Am I generalizing? Of course I am. Of course I am. But just generally speaking, in my experience, basically every single Japanese teacher that I had was super professional. They were on time. Now, at times they could be, you know, professional to the point where it feels a little uncomfortable, or you feel like they're kind of a robot. But I'll still take that any day over like an American teacher who has an ego and doesn't give a fuck and is showing up late to class and shit. But as far as I have lived here for 2 years and had like 10 plus different Japanese teachers, I prefer them so much more over American teachers. Way better. Any day I would take that. Additionally, the staff at these Japanese language schools, they understand that everyone is coming over here from overseas, so they want to help you get settled into Japan, have an easier life in Japan, not make your life super difficult. So, let's go. So, they will help you with your mail. They will help you if you have issues with the bank. If you bring forms to the staff at the office, I've heard this from my friends who go to other schools too. If you bring like mail to them that you don't understand, which I did on like my first week here in Japan, the staff literally read it for me the people that spoke English helped me out, and they were like, oh, you just need to like copy these documents, like your ID, your bank card, whatever, and then send it in. And they're like, just bring it to us and we'll do it for you. And I was like, oh shit. I brought that shit to them. They did everything for me. They copied, they printed stuff out, they put it in the envelope, and they're like, just put it in the fucking in the mailbox and you're good to go. And I was like, that is so nice. So the staff was super cool. Also, they will help you look for part-time jobs. There's usually a bulletin board at most language schools of part-time jobs in the area, and also an online one. So in my experience, the staff has been super cool. They also do plenty of outings, little trips. My language school had like a yearly sports day. They did like dodgeball tournaments. They went to like Chiba, I think. They went to a couple different shrines. We went to an aquarium. All types of opportunities for the students to get to know each other and meet each other. Most people usually speak English as well. Like the students usually speak English, which I didn't know as a person who's never been outside of America besides Japan. I didn't understand that like all fucking Europeans speak English, so that was kind of cool when I actually had like to ask someone something serious at the level where I didn't speak Japanese great. Yeah, like basically everybody spoke English, so that was cool. If you're wondering about that, like I was, apparently that's common knowledge to everybody else in the world, but as an American, I did not know that everybody else spoke English too, so that was cool and really convenient for me. And otherwise, I'm not sure if I can think of anything else that you guys might want to know about Japanese language school. Like I said, you can stay up for 2 years. Tuition might be somewhere around $5,000 to $6,000 a year. You can go to school in many different areas of Japan. The student populations are very diverse, but they will be different based on how serious the language school is and what the end goal is. In my experience, the staff is so much better than staff in America. The teachers are really nice, the teachers are really professional. Like I said, you're going to be learning not only about Japanese language, but also Japanese culture. You'll probably have a section blocked out for studying kanji, have a section blocked out for doing speeches, have a section blocked out for daily life, group conversation, things like that. They will also put you into a certain class based on your level before you enter the school. So like I said, if you go to Gogo Nihon and you're like, hey, I want to live over here, or I want to go to a language school here, and this is the school I want to go to, they're like, all right, send us your documents. You send them all your documents. They're going to email you on the deadlines of everything, when to turn in blank and blank and blank, and then they're going to say, okay, well, you're accepted into the school. Now you need to take a level check test for Japanese. So they're going to send you like a little test, and then you might do like a little Zoom session with somebody, and they'll like give you a little interview in Japanese. And even if you don't speak any Japanese, like they'll go really easy or whatever, figure out your level, and then they will put you in a corresponding class. So I think that is most of the information that immediately comes to mind of things that will be important to you if you're interested in going to language school in Japan. I had a great time. I had a lot of fun. The people were really nice. I miss it. The worst thing about school, I think we can all agree on, is homework. And I fucking hate homework so much. Oh my God. And if you go to like a little bit more of a relaxed school, there's probably not going to be too much homework. Like I said, I had like homework once a week. Like I had like a 1 or 2 page essay in Japanese like once a week, and that was it. After like the first class or whatever, like the first class they might give you some homework because you need to like really get your skills up, at least to like even give a little base and shit. But for the most part, that's the idea. So my name is yungjamez. Thank you to Shahaha for the question, and all the other people for asking about Japanese language school, watching the videos, etc. I appreciate you. Shout out to Dominic, by the way. Hopping in my video saying what's up. Hopefully I see Dominic again. Seems like a cool dude. And thank you guys for watching. Take care. If you guys want to join my Discord, send me $5 on PayPal. Do not forget to add your Discord username. Hit me up on Instagram. Say what's up. I might be appearing on a few podcasts soon in the Tokyo area, so I'm pretty excited about that. Be looking out for that. I'm sure I'll post an announcement whenever the dates are settled. So thanks, guys. Take care. Love ya. All right.